The Council of Galactic Species had always classified humans as a minimal threat species, too fragile, too empathetic, too disorganized. The Vexari, tall blue-skinned beings with 4 arms and the technological prowess to match, found humans particularly amusing. Their ambassador Kroll often entertained his peers with stories of human peculiarities. They cry when they're happy. Kroll once announced to thunderous laughter, "Imagine leaking from your visual organs because you feel good." That humans, for their part, were just grateful to have a seat at the table. After first contact 50 years ago, Earth had struggled to prove its worth among the stars. Hugh and Ambassador Davis nodded politely through the veiled insults, keeping diplomatic relations smooth. That changed the day the Morkai attacked. The Morkai, hulking armored creatures from the Outer Rim, had violated treaty after treaty, conquering 3 peaceful worlds in as many months. Now their warships surrounded the Galactic Council station, demanding immediate surrender. "We've calculated your defenses," growled Supreme Commander Vex of the Morkai fleet, his scaled face filling the communication screen. "You have 1 hour to surrender before we begin bombardment." The council chamber erupted into panic. The Vexari proposed immediate surrender. The Altarians suggested negotiation. The human delegation remained oddly silent. Only when Ambassador Davis asked to speak did the chamber quiet. "I would like to introduce Captain Tom Reynolds of the Earth Marine Corps." A stocky human male stepped forward. Unlike the polished diplomats, Reynolds wore a simple gray uniform with minimal decorations. His weathered face spoke of battles the council races couldn't imagine. "The Morkai have miscalculated," Reynolds said simply. "My team of 20 Marines can eliminate this threat." Laughter rippled through the chamber. 20 humans against a Morkai battle fleet? Kroll of the Vexari could barely contain his amusement. "They have over 2,000 warriors." Reynolds didn't smile. "Permission to demonstrate human capabilities, Ambassador?" Davis nodded. Reynolds stepped to the center of the chamber. "I need a volunteer who's familiar with Morkai physiology." A timid Zeltani scientist named Mira approached. The Zeltani were known for their extensive biological knowledge. "The Morkai have a central nerve cluster here." Mira pointed to a spot on her own neck, "and breathing apparatus here." Reynolds nodded. "And they consider themselves apex predators?" "Yes," Mira confirmed. "On their homeworld, they evolved as the dominant hunters." "Interesting," Reynolds said. "On Earth, we were never the strongest or fastest. We were prey before we were predators." The council members exchanged confused glances. "When prey evolves into predators," Reynolds continued, his voice dropping to a tone that made several delegates shiver, "they develop something unique, the ability to understand death intimately." He withdrew a small, unimpressive blade from his boot. "This is a standard-issue combat knife. Nothing special by your technological standards," he explained, turning it in the light. "But in the right hands against your Morkai, it becomes something else entirely." Reynolds demonstrated a quick motion, so fast several delegates missed it, between the 3rd and 4th vertebrae, severing the nerve cluster you mentioned. Silent, effective. They would taste copper in their mouth. That's what humans taste when we're dying. It's our blood. The chamber had gone completely silent. My 20 Marines could eliminate 50 Morkai each before they knew what was happening. We call it force multiplication through psychological warfare. A surviving Morkai wouldn't understand what happened. They'd only know fear. Reynolds slipped the knife back into his boot. The Morkai evolved as apex predators who never had to fear anything. Humans evolved knowing fear intimately. We know what it's like to be prey. We know what death tastes like, and we've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of delivering it. Ambassador Davis cleared his throat. What Captain Reynolds is suggesting is that we allow his team to infiltrate the Morkai command ship. They won't be expecting humans, creatures they consider harmless, to be a threat. The council remained stunned into silence. "Oh," Reynolds added casually, "we've already taken the liberty of boarding their vessels during this conversation. My team is in position. We just need your authorization." Kroll of the Vexari found his voice first. "Impossible. Their shields were calibrated to stop advanced weapons," Reynolds finished. "Not 20 humans with primitive blades and a very particular set of skills." Ambassador Davis held up a small communication device. "Captain, you have authorization." Reynolds nodded and spoke into his wrist communicator. "Team, execute Operation Whisper." For 20 unbearable minutes, nothing happened. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Then the main view screen activated, showing the Morkai command bridge. Supreme Commander Vex was nowhere to be seen. Instead, Reynolds' Marines stood among confused, surrendering Morkai officers. "Command ship secured," came Reynolds' voice over the communication system. "The fleet is standing down." Later, as the Morkai survivors were processed, Ambassador Davis found Kroll of the Vexari staring at the human delegation. "How is it possible?" Kroll whispered. "Your species seems so soft." Davis smiled thinly. "We cry at beautiful things because we understand ugliness. We value peace because we know war. Every human carries within them the capacity for both extraordinary compassion and terrifying violence." He glanced toward Reynolds, who was quietly debriefing his team. "The council classified us as harmless because you measured the wrong things. You saw our empathy as weakness. You never realized it's precisely because we understand suffering that we're so efficient at causing it when necessary." Kroll nodded slowly. "I will recommend an immediate reclassification of humanity." "Good idea," Davis said. "Though I hope you never have reason to witness what Captain Reynolds described again." The Council of Galactic Species revised human classification that same day. No longer minimal threat, humans were now categorized simply as approach with caution. The debates about whether this meant caution toward human enemies or humans themselves continued for many years after.